I mean, the thing you have to remember is that the music industry runs as a business. Okay, and now when you're as a young band sort of thinking, hey, we're going to be famous, we're going to do all this sort of stuff, you don't actually realize that the people that you sign to, they don't care about any of this. They're going to invest a certain amount of money on the idea that they're going to get a certain level of return. Now, the way that record deals are structured, a band will get 10% on an average record deal, 10% of each CD sold. Now, record companies sell to shops for £5, and so the band will get 10% roughly of that £5. Now, when you get signed to a record company, they give you an advance. Standard advance back in those days was say like 100 grand, which was meant to last you a year. You would record your album on top of that, which if you're using a producer like Keith Olsen, we did, you're talking about another 100 grand's worth of recording costs, maybe 3 or 4 videos, each at 25 grand a pop, and then they'll give you some money for some tour support. So it's very easy to get to £500,000 owed on the making of a record back in the day very, very quickly. Now think about how many records you would have to sell with your 10% of £5 just to recoup the money that they've spent on you. Now they're taking 90% of those £5. So they have a much quicker way of returning their money than you ever have of recouping your money. So in hindsight, the fact that we even got to make a second record was a miracle. Because if you're actually a businessman, you'd realize, for an English rock band to sell the level of records that you would need to recoup your initial cost, you're talking about somewhere like 500,000 albums in the UK. No rock band sells 500,000 albums in the UK. It doesn't even add up. So you're looking for European territories, worldwide territories, and everything that goes with it. So it's very unlikely. It was always very unlikely that Skin or all the Little Angels or the Almighty or Thunder or any of these bands were ever going to recoup the kind of money that was spent on them by their record companies. So what happened to us happens to bands continually over time, and will continue to do so. You may have your moment in the sun where you've got your record company that are investing their money, hoping that maybe you'll hit it over into some other territories where they make it big. But for every one band that does it, probably another 100 don't. It doesn't mean they don't get to make records or go on tour, but to make a return for the record company, for them to reinvest again, it's a very unlikely situation. And you only have to look through all the Kerrangs over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and all the bands that have had front covers, RPLA, the list goes on and on and on, Wolfsbane, you name it. But no one ever recouped. You have to be Adele, basically. It's very, very, very unlikely. And so as a result of it, it's fine. What happened to us has happened to hundreds of bands and will continue to happen to hundreds of bands. But the difference now is we collect our own databases, we make our own records. We have we're under no illusion that we won't make any money out of this. And even if we just recoup our money, we're happy with that. We love playing music and we have lives outside of music. But if I had any advice for any young bands, start collecting your databases. Be aware that it's a business, and if you want to make records, and that money has to come from somewhere. With the Skin albums and the Red, White and Blues albums, not only have we recouped our initial costs, the Red, White and Blues album actually recouped within 2 months, which we're very happy about. The Skin album took about a year to recoup, but now we own the intellectual property on this stuff forever. That came to us when we recorded, when we were asked to reform and play it download. I approached Parlophone Records to see if they would like to re-release the first Skin album, in which they declined. And then I said, well, can I license it from you? And they said, no, you can't. And so I said, there's no way that we can make our music available to people who are going to re-familiarize themselves at the download concert. And they said, no, sorry, just not interested. And then about 6 months later, it gets released through Rock Candy, you know, because they would much rather deal with an external body, a third party, than actually give it to the artist. So these kinds of things that I'm very anxious to make aspiring musicians aware of, that that's what you're up against, and to try and retain some control over your music, because this is yours forever. It's your ideas forever, and you're giving them to someone who, if they don't get an initial return on them within 3 months, 5 months, you get added to the list of stuff that will never see the light of day again. But see, this is how it works. I give you an insight into the business. Okay, so I mean, I've obviously done this for a long time, so I'm friends with a lot of people. So without naming any names, okay. So the allocation by the venue and the promoter for the support band would be £500, okay, which is cool. That you can cover your costs with that. The agent of the main band, in his bid to try and make as much money from everywhere. So imagine it's a tour with 10 shows, and it was 500 quid at every venue for the support band, which would come to 5 grand. The agent will then say to the venue, I only want you to give them 100, and we will take the other 400. And so out of that allocation of 5 grand, the agent of the main band will claw back that extra 4 grand, forcing the support band, knowing that they're desperate for the exposure, knowing that, you know, they've got no record label ever, and they just want to do the shows. They want to go out and play. So they'll bleed the support bands for as much as they can, knowing that they can claim the extra 4 grand. Now, if you're the agent of the main band will be going, great, we've got this extra 4 grand. But the reality is that the support bands get completely screwed. And this is in the situation we are now. And ironically, like I say, the circularness of the industry is like, without naming names again, you know, is that we took someone on tour with us, being Skin, thinking, you know, friend, you know, come on tour, you've helped us out in the past, come on tour, paid them well, allocation of using our crew, using all of our gear, you know, use our dressing room, drink whatever you want, thinking, well, maybe one day down the line, this band will help you again. I'm a great believer in that. And then lo and behold, things come around again, and it's like, and someone that was in the support band is now doing something very big. And it's like, hey, would it be possible for us to support you, such and such? Nah, not really the kind of band that we're looking for, but never mind. It's kind of like, oh, right, okay, so that's how it's going to work. This happens all the time, you know. So it's like always going on, and that's your constant battle. I mean, we just love playing the music at the end of the day. You know, we have careers outside of music, and we lose a fortune when we go on tour, but we just love doing it. Our wives think we're crazy.